This saw blade that we focused on now is a negative hook saw blade. This is a 5-degree negative hook saw blade. Remember, you draw your line straight up and down through the saw blade and put a line on the face of your tooth. This is a 5-degree negative hook. This is a chop saw blade. And the reason I put this up here is to show you what not to do. The reason why you don't want a negative hook saw blade on your table saw. If you notice the face of this tooth almost straight up and down. And as you go down, there's a lot of teeth that are pushing back at the operator. That's why we don't want to use a negative hook saw blade on a table saw. It's going to throw the material back at you. This is probably the biggest safety hazard, is using the wrong saw blade on the machine that you're working with. This saw blade goes on a chop saw or a radial arm saw. You're going to love the way this saw blade cuts on either of those two machines. I don't want you guys to be saying to yourself, well, I'll never buy a negative hook saw blade. Let me tell you why they're a fantastic hook angle. A negative hook angle blade is fantastic for cutting extrusions, like if you have to cut aluminum extrusions, or you have a chop saw. The most popular chop saw out there right now is the DeWalt 12-inch compound miter. Now, have you ever done a miter cut and you get fraying on the bottom and on the back of your cut and you can't figure out why? I bought a saw blade from Home Depot that says it's made for this chop saw, or the saw blades that come on your chop saws, they probably aren't a negative hook chop saw. If you can envision in your mind a paper shear, how it works, it shears the fibers downwards. The knife starts at the top and it shears downwards. A positive hook saw blade reaches in and grabs and tears the fibers down. So when it reaches in and grabs and tears the fiber down, that's where you're getting your fraying, on the bottom and on the back side of your cut. You also need a finer tooth saw blade. One of the things you have to do is select the right number of teeth for the right job. A good rule of thumb is, if I'm ripping with the fibers of the material, if I'm going with the grain, I want fewer teeth. If I'm cutting across the grain, I want more teeth.